Hi, my name is Eleni Eden. I'm the Sacred Seed intern at Bastyr University. I'm standing on the land of the Duwamish and Snohomish tribes found within the Coast Salish territories. I'm curious to know if you are familiar with the term cultural ecosystems. If you're not, that's okay. Maybe by the end of this video, you'll have an idea. And if that still doesn't answer your question or curiosity, then feel free to schedule a field trip with us or access some of our curriculum on the Sacred Seed teacher portal on our website. But as for now, cultural ecosystems is not simply just a term. It is in fact a way of life. Archaeologists have verified what the Coast Salish elders have been saying for centuries, that this land has been tended for over 10,000 years. And in fact, they have tended it so well that they co-evolved together. The cultural historical practices of the people who tended this land shaped and nourished the ecological aspects of the natural world around us. It is not as simple as it sounds. They did not farm like how you would normally think they would. They tended to the land as exactly as it was and as exactly as it wanted to be tended to. There are so many examples, and the list goes on, but some of them that some cultural ecosystems that I've grown to love are like, for example, the Clam Gardens, which were just simply rocks built up in the ocean where shellfish and fish could make homes, seaweed could cling to rocks, mussels and clams became more bioavailable to the people. Another example is the camas prairie, which we'll soon have a video up for that as well. Wetlands, forest edges, forest greens, but not only that, my all-time favorite cultural ecosystem is the Huckleberry Meadows. When you come upon a Huckleberry Meadow, it's hard to realize that they didn't always used to be that way. At one time, it was just one or two huckleberry bushes. But then as the tribes returned year after year and they tended to that land and took just enough berries to get them through the seasons, that Huckleberry Meadow flourished. And they did this by leaving some of the berries so the birds and the mammals had access to it too. And so since they had access, they were able to sustain their livelihoods and grow their culture as well. Yes, believe it or not, mammals and birds have culture as well. But not only that, but they would prune back the dead shrubbery. So every year when they would come back, the patch would grow and grow bigger and bigger and bigger. So there were always more berries to share. But they would never take too much, only as much as they needed, so the ecosystem could benefit from it as a whole. Now, in modern day, we exist in the natural world, but our culture has seemed to have forgotten how important these plants and animals truly are. I often will ask people what their favorite plant is, and I'll be shocked to find out how often people actually say they don't know. Because if you think about it, a lot of the products that make our homes, our tools, our food, and our medicine actually come from plants or were inspired by plants. Our culture, our modern day culture, has forgotten how much the natural world is actually intertwined with us. We have forgotten it so much so that we unfortunately take advantage of the land and use it to the point where bits and pieces of it might not be usable for much longer. Look at the farmlands where we get our food that nurtures our body. These farmlands oftentimes were once swamps and wetlands, which were extremely crucial for the earth as a whole because it cleaned our water supply. And now that those farms are there and they're using pesticides and all kinds of other things, it's slowly but surely making our water undrinkable. But there are so many ways that we can reverse this and we can get back to understanding the importance of being stewards of this land and co-evolving with the land around us. We don't need to continue to take advantage of this land. We can find ways to work with the ecosystem in a natural way. Just look at the rice fields in Asia. They actually use the ecosystem as the way that it's meant to be. And look at the seaweed fields up in northern Europe. They are naturally using the way that seaweed and rice are supposed to grow without overproducing and without using excess chemicals that make other parts of the ecosystem unlivable. It is important to understand that an ecosystem has many players in the ring. And there's so much at stake if one little thing goes awry. And so that's why it is important for us to realize that in present day, our culture deserves to reconnect with the natural world and utilize the natural practices around us. Although we can't go back in time and fix the damage that's been done to the earth, we can change the future as a whole. We can ask for more. We can do more for this earth by being stewards of the land. For example, every time I enter in the forest, I always bring a trash bag with me. I can't go in the past and find that person and ask them not to litter. But I can continue to educate people on the importance of not littering and respecting and loving the natural world around us. And I can ensure a cleaner earth for the future generations by picking up that trash in the present. Because that trash could end up in the belly of a deer, or end up in the nest of a bird, or end up like sending little particles into the ground, which then eventually ends up in our drinking water, continuing to pollute it. It is important to understand with cultural ecosystems, we can get back to a natural way of practice. We can't change the past, but we can act in the future to ensure a healthy world for the future generations at large. Thank you so much and have a beautiful day.